Jay is here. Jay, hi Jay, how are you? We are
I'm good.
almost
I'm
giving
good.
up.
Uh,
Thank you
can you
for
hear
joining.
me?
I know it's really. Yes, yes, you are audible. Guys, can all of you hear Jay? If yes, just write yes in chat.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a little bit of trouble
Yeah,
with
yeah.
my phone, and then I had to log off the phone to get on using the laptop.
No problem, no problem. I have been telling them that you will be joining. You're joining today from New York, right?
Good.
Yeah. So they are very excited and they have questions for you. But I just want to hear from you. Will you tell your story? How you went from Bombay and you are a batchmate of Ravi Shastri, I believe, and then you landed in USA and what's the story?
It's interesting. But I was a NIT Suratkal graduate, and was lucky to, graduated in the top of my class, and so I got a scholarship, to go to for my higher education at the University of Texas at Austin, and so that's what I did. And then I went and I got my master's and my PhD in electrical computer engineering, and then I started working for IBM and worked for IBM for many years. And that's when I became exposed to IP, and that's when I became exposed to the importance of IP. And I actually had the chief patent counsel at IBM at that time, who was a very nice human being, just a wonderful person who encouraged me and who basically, made me sort of realize that he actually told me something which is very insightful. He basically said, "Everything I know you can learn, but I cannot learn what you know."
Wow, wow.
And so I said, "Oh wow, this is really, I still remember what I told him, which was, when I look back on it, it was kind of funny. But I told him, John, last time I checked, a PhD is a terminal degree. I don't need to study anything more." you know. So he said, "No, no, no," and so he encouraged me. So then I went to law school afterwards at Georgetown, and I got my JD. I got my law degree, and it's was a actually a you know. Some people might think of it as a risky move, but I think actually it was a good move for me.
All right.
So that's kind
And
of the short story, yeah.
great. That's such a great story. And what do you do now, if you can tell our
Yeah,
audience?
so I am a patent attorney. I work, have a full-fledged practice. I work with a lot of startups, a lot of tech startups. And I also teach and I write and I research. So basically, I'm kind of uh, very active in the world of IP, in the world of patents, and in the world of helping small companies achieve their goals. And It's been very rewarding. I work with startups from all over the world, including startups from India.
Okay.
I'm currently involved with a couple of startups from India, including one in the solar space called Palm Energy Systems, and they make these solar palms that are very, very fascinating. So it's there's there's really a tremendous innovation ecosystem all over the world now.
Right, right. And are you working with any law firm or are you working independently now?
No. I work with. I'm associated with a law firm, Demuro Ginsberg, out in DIMURO Ginsberg, out in Virginia, and just outside of, just basically a couple of miles away from Washington D.C. If you guys know Washington, just across the river is Virginia. So yes, we do have an IP group there. It's not just me. There's a whole bunch of other IP lawyers who are involved.
Great.
But just to tell you how small the world is, I also have another company here in the US called Liberty Access Technologies that is getting a lot of its designs and getting a lot of its technology manufactured in India and manufactured in Coimbatore in India. So the flow is both ways. It's there's basically a lot of stuff going on from the US that is also involves a lot of IP IT activities in India.
Right.
And they are into electric vehicle charging. So I know the government of India is very interested in electric vehicle charging technology. So there's obviously there's a lot of IP involved and so on. And I know that there's all sorts of e-bikes and other things that are coming on the market in India. And you can imagine all the buildings and the apartments and everything need an electric vehicle charger installed in the parking garage.
Of course.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
solar is a new big thing.
Yeah.
Solar and electric vehicles is really like the next thing. And right now the production cost of solar energy is like 1/5 of like even petroleum or coal-based energy. So it's everything in India, especially. We are really looking forward to solar. We pay a huge petroleum tax because you have to buy all our energy needs from outside, but that can change with solar energy. We're really looking forward to that. So there are a lot of people have been asking me today. By the way, this is like they are here for more than 3 hours now. And when we started, we had like 180 people. And now, obviously, after 3 hours, many people have dropped out. So these are the most interested bunch of people. Okay, you have with finally. Okay. So 53 of them are here. So they have been asking me that to patent law, is it possible if I don't have a science degree, can I still do it? And do you have any examples that comes to your mind? Or you are a PhD in science, but imagine, have you seen lawyers who are doing some interesting work in IP? Trademark, of course, they don't need any science background, but in patent also, have you seen people doing prosecution work or other kind of work without a science background?
Yeah. So this is a very good question, and it's a common question, as you can imagine. But definitely, you can definitely do a lot of, it's a huge range of work. In fact, in the US, the patent work itself, there's more than, a third of all the people who in patent practice who don't have a science background, but they're mostly involved in licensing. They're mostly involved on the transactional side or on the litigation side.
Which is huge.
In the prosecution side, you need to be registered, to be a patent agent. But the licensing side, a lot of it is just simply making deals, drafting licenses, understanding the needs of both the parties to the license.
Right. And in India, we have a lot of. Sorry for interrupting you. In India, we have a lot of lawyers.
Win-win scenarios,
Right. We have a few lawyers in India who are doing patent work, but they are not from a science background, but they have developed an interest in it, and they understand the science, the underlying science, although they don't have a degree or they're not even patent agents, and they do a lot of work. And some of them are managing partners of law firms, for that matter, IP law firms.
Yeah. So the same is true. The same is true in the US. My fellow colleague Cecil Key at DeMuro Ginsburg, who has a very strong patent practice, also doesn't have a science background, is actually a musician.
Wow.
And has a very extensive patent practice. So it's the same is true in the US as well. There are two things to keep in mind. One is, if you don't like science and don't like engineering and don't like to read and learn about science, then that's a problem. Because you do have the subject matter, the facts are scientific, technical facts. So,
Yes, yes.
that's needed. But number two, keep in mind that probably India is probably just like the US, that most of the judges you appeared before have no technical background. So because the judges have no technical background, your job is to teach them. And your job is to find technical experts, etc., who can kind of teach the court. So the fact that you do or don't have a technical background really doesn't really make a difference. Your ability to learn and your ability to explain science and technology is what is key. Number two, let us assume that you have a technical background. Even if you have a technical background, you may have a technical background in chemical engineering or chemistry or software or something, but the case you're involved in might involve something else. So your technical background may really not help you. I often find I'm involved in cases where I don't know anything about that technology. My degrees are in electrical and computer engineering. Sometimes I'm involved in things like noise suppression systems on airplanes, or involved in looking at tests for abnormal versus normal pregnancies. So the things that I don't know anything about and my technical background is not helpful. But however, I can teach myself, I can learn, I can have an expert help me, and then I can teach the judge.
Correct. So this is how to think about it, that you have to be a learner. You have to be a great learner of science, then only you can do well in patent.
Right.
Great. This is a very good perspective.
Having said that, so on the patent side, you can definitely be involved in patent litigation and patent licensing, but also keep in mind that in the trademark and copyright side, there's a huge amount of work being done. For example, things like licensing and especially in sports and things like that are really booming in a huge way in India. For example, there's a huge amount of various sports networks, and there's all sorts of content sharing and deals happening, and there's really an enormous amount of legal activity there.
Okay. One question that comes to mind is that when you are working as an IP attorney in the US, where do you think that, if like we are just showing people that what kind of work is being uploaded online on online platforms, people are trying to hire Indian paralegals, lawyers, and so on. So they have seen the proof that it is already happening online. But wanted to understand from you that in your experience when you're working in New York, what do you see and how does it work?
So
do people really have opportunities for Indians?
So the very first thing is your question presupposes something that is very important. It presupposes something that a lot of people don't realize, is that you need to throw some skin into the game. You need to do something to stand out. You just simply say, I've got my LLB and now give me an IP job. This is not a way to succeid. What you're saying
is exactly I've been telling them for 1 hour today.
Right. Yes. Do something. Maybe write an article. Try to comment on a blog. Show that you are thoughtful. Show that you're interested. Maybe take an additional course if that makes a difference. Maybe volunteer to work, in an internship for free, where you learn something. Things that basically show that you are genuinely interested. You're just not going to IP and suddenly applying for IP jobs because everybody says there's jobs in IP, so you start applying there. And then tomorrow somebody will tell you there's jobs in real estate, you'll apply there. And then, so this is not really a good formula for
Right.
standing
So you
out.
need to build a track record, basically.
You need to think of some way to, show that you're genuinely interested in IP, that you are willing to invest a little bit of time, a little bit of money, and show that, hey, I want to throw some skin into this. And,
Yes.
there are many ways of doing it. There are many, many ways of doing it. The easiest way is to start reading, start commenting, try to understand what is going on. There's a lot of IP blogs that are out there, and you can show, and you can sort of link to keep your LinkedIn page updated with all these activities. And sometimes people, they do these things, but they don't update their online profile with links to all these things. So that's also important.
Right.
That people who come to these things, they can see all the things you've done, and make sure you post these things, so that they're available in your network. There's also a lot of people who place people in IP jobs. So, try to find, people who are, IP placement people. And those are the things I would recommend.
Fantastic.
Obviously, if you can show that you have some real work experience in IP, that is the best. That is the best. But work experience may be harder to get right away. So you want to build up, to get to work experience.
Do it from volunteering with a startup or something. Volunteer under a lawyer.
And,
Amazing.
this really brings up a very important life lesson.
Yes.
And I will tell you something. When you ask people for a favor, if you ask them for a big favor, hey, hire me, people are less inclined to do so. What you instead do is ask for a small favor. Ask for a small favor that somebody is willing to do for you, and then do a great job with that small favor. And then ask for a bigger favor. It's human nature. Oh, the guy is working so hard. You ask for a small favor, and look at what he did. Wow. And now suddenly this other person is invested in making you succeed because they are so happy with you. So I mean, this is a life lesson. It's just, you don't ask for big favors, ask for little favors and convert them as you're going along.
Jay, I'll go a step more, okay, and I'll suggest that, most people, when they ask for even advice, they never get back that, okay, and this is the success I achieved from your advice. That circle has to be closed. Somebody give. Imagine Jay today gave you this advice, you implement it, and then write back to Jay saying, Jay, thank you for your advice. I achieved 1, 2, 3 things because of your advice. Jay will be like, this is so rare. Not too many people do this. And then, you'll get Jay as a mentor, really. This is how it works. I remember when I was a law firm associate, I used to give people advice to network. Somebody read it, implemented it, and put it on me. Like he came near my office and called saying that I am here outside. Can you give me your 5 minutes? And it was hard for me to say no. How can I say no to somebody who has a law student come to meet for 5 minutes? Can you say no? I went and met. So great. That I'm already feeling great optimism. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling any optimism after listening? Jay, if yes, say yes. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Already people are saying, can you be my mentor? This is not the way you ask for a mentor. First, whatever mentorship we gave in this session, go implement it, produce results, and then come back. Okay? Aditi? Yes, everybody is feeling great. Awesome. Questions? Any other questions? Ask questions not about courses that I will answer. Ask Jay about your questions on IP law. Aditi is saying Jay sir is one of the nicest people I've seen this month. Awesome. Mugira is saying I'm feeling pumped with this talk. Great. Divya is asking, is it necessary to be a licensed attorney to work in-house in the US? If you want to work as an in-house lawyer, is it necessary to be licensed?
No. The short answer is no. There's no such requirement. However, the competition, the pool is such that most of them are. So that's the problem. So companies will not say that you need to be a licensed attorney, because very often the company is not expecting you in-house people to go to court on their behalf. They're not doing that. They're hiring outside counsel for that. They're not doing that. But they do want to know that you have legal expertise, and that you have legal knowledge, legal work experience, and so on. So if you have a law degree from another jurisdiction, etc., experience in another jurisdiction, if you, depending on the kind of work, there's no barrier. I mean, you can be hired. That's not a problem.
Okay. So I have advised today to them that, they can tell me what do you think of this. What I suggested is that they start learning USPTO work through a course that we are offering. It's not about the course though. Imagine that if they know USPTO work and they can start doing some freelance work, helping some lawyers. What I said is that it will start building your network already in the US. And then if you are going for an IP LLM, it will make immense sense that you going for an LLM, already you have some network in the US, you have proof of concept that you have worked with people. It will help you to get through better universities. And once you are there, you are not fresh off the boat, clueless. Rather, you have an existing network, much higher chances of landing a job post LLM, much higher chance of getting paid work while you're doing your LLM. So would you think this is a good strategy?
So,
I'm saying that instead of going for LLM right away, you first do some freelance work sitting in India and start building kind of network before, because then you'll be able to use your LLM better.
Yeah. So doing some work, any kind of legal work before you go for an LLM is always a good idea. Because simply when you finish your LLB, immediately going for an LLM is, you really need that work experience to help you. So you would get more out of the LLM. You'll get more out of, what you want to do, where you want to go.
Yeah.
Also keep in mind that there is no single one way to become a successful lawyer and have a successful IP practice. There's no single one way, but there are some things that, nevertheless, even though there's no single one way, there are some things that are important. And that's what we're trying to tell you. Some things that are important are, try to get some work experience early on in your career.
Especially local, international experience, local experience.
Even if you get local IP experience in India, then you can take that knowledge and translate it to international clients. So you'll be able to kind of, but it's important to actually say, I know how to do something. Whatever that thing is, that's how you get paid. You get paid for actually doing something. Can you do a trademark search? Can you draft a complaint? Can you go and respond to a office action in a patent matter? Can you go draft a license? What can you actually do? So you get paid for certain skills. So try to get those skills. That's one. And of course, once you get a little bit of skills and so on, then consider going for higher education. It can even be online. You can even be in India and you can still get, online education, from US universities and so on. And that way now you have more of your intellectual capital. You're now building your intellectual capital. You actually know more. So that's also good. So, your work experience plus, deeper knowledge of, legal issues. This is the way you kind of, you build a career. You try to put one on top of the other and sort of make it work. Does that make sense?
What I see, sometimes makes sense. Sometimes what I see, Jay, is that people who go to do an LLM, it's like a lifetime investment for most people in India, especially even if they got a scholarship or they're paying it with, it's not going to happen second time. And some of them really want to continue to work in that country, but they are not able to do so because of lack of preparation. So 9 months LLM, 10 months, it just goes away in like a tornado, it goes away. And the time is over and they didn't get enough chance to do anything. So what I'm suggesting is that try to maximize your opportunity by starting something ahead of time. So I think,
this is a
like
great
you said, some
point.
things increase your chances. This could increase.
Yeah. So this is a great point.
Sure.
It is a great point. And you are exactly correct. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of LLM students in the US for whom the 9 months was just a blur. They barely started studying and barely started making good grades before it's all over. And they came in August and now it's next May and they've graduated and oh my God, how am I going to get a job? So you're exactly correct. So there are two problems. One problem is that in the US, because the JD is a postgraduate degree, it's a 3-year degree. So most of the people who are employing law graduates are used to people who have studied US law for 3 years. And of course, you studied law for a long time, 5 years typically, before you came to your LLM, but your knowledge of US law is only 1 year, is only 9 months. So that tends to be a problem. So because you haven't studied enough US law. So that's a hurdle. Now I'll tell you, I completely agree. Have a network is good. That's very good. Another way is to understand that you have to start networking in the US from day one in August. Don't wait until May and you say, oh my God, I have to study, I have to make good grades. Yes, you have to do that. But you also have to start networking from day one. So you cannot wait until 9 months. You say, people think, oh, I need some grades, I need some coursework, I need something to show an employer. That is true. But there's no harm in starting.
But Jay, I will go one step ahead and I'll say, sorry for interrupting. So, I will say, why not start now? If you're going to do your LLM next year, it is an online world. Nobody's meeting anyway, mostly. Why can't you start networking right away? Right. So,
I agree.
What would you say? Yeah.
No, I agree. Especially networking, increasing your online profile, getting meaningful IP work, so that when you network with someone, they can see your profile, they can see your expertise. They actually can see, hey, this person is genuinely interested. It'll also help you get into a good LLM program as well. The other thing I'll tell you is there are, again, many ways to succeed. I emphasize this because I have seen people, after they finish their LLM, the only job they could get was going and doing some immigration law work. That was the only job they could get. And I would ask them, hey, they're very disappointed. And I would ask them, hey, do you want this immigration job? How much is this paying you? And they'll tell me it's paying me some amount. And I'll say, well, how does this compare to what you have now? And they say, well, the pay is more, but really it's more than what I was making before. But I really want to practice IP law. So it's interesting because I have had so many people, including students from China, Thailand, and other places, who very often go into immigration law as a way to then get a foothold into the legal system, learn some things, and then go on to do other things. This is a very common thing, but Indians who come from India are very reluctant to do these kind of things. They feel, hey, I want to study IP law. I'm really, if I don't get an IP job here, I'll just go and I'll go back and I'll do IP work in India. Sometimes I think, maybe it's because sometimes you have students from, China or other places where they really, for whatever reason, they really are committed to not going back. They really don't care. They just want to they just want to make a living, in the US or somewhere else. And so they're much more, committed. So sometimes, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. You go get an LLM and you can go, I have plenty of friends who have very good practices in India who did an LLM in the US. There's no problem. But you have to make up your mind what you want to do. Sometimes it may be hard to get an initial foothold, then figure out another way.
Great advice. There is a question on biotechnology industry and what kind of background is good if I want to work in biotech law, patents, biotech patents, and
so that's a very good question. So biotech and the life science generally is an area where it's one of the few areas where companies are really looking for advanced degrees. They're really looking for at least, typically, they're looking for master's degrees, PhD degrees, so on. Even the very well-known biotech practitioners, even in India, Malati Lakshmi Kumaran or one of these sort of well-known people in India, they all have PhDs, so on and so forth. So biotech is one of those areas where the clients really don't believe, that you can do their work unless you have advanced degrees, because they just think you just don't have enough knowledge. You just cannot simply learn and figure it out. So it's one of the few areas where people do like master's degrees, PhD degrees, and particularly in biotech prosecution. There's almost no other way out. You really do need advanced degrees.
Right. It's not that difficult to get these degrees in India, at least. So
Yeah.
So some questions are there. Will firm consider a person without LLM but with good knowledge of work? This is how are they going to consider him in the first place, Kshitij, right? So yeah, there's a question. Do you want to say anything on this? Like somebody from India doesn't have foreign LLM but have a good knowledge of work. I'm guessing he's talking about having good knowledge of US work. Be considered by a foreign law firm. What do you think?
You mean they've got an LLM got an LLB in India and they want to try to get
LLB from India. Yeah.
and then they're trying to get US work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
the best way to do that really is to go and join companies in India. There are a lot of companies in India who do a lot of work for US
US
firms.
work.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal US originating work. There's a lot of legal work and legal support work and legal process work that is done in India. So if you have an LLB and you have you're trying to do US originating legal work, the best way for you to do that is to go and work for one of these companies to get a foothold to learn and do some work there. Then you can go from there.
Wonderful. So there's a question from Tina Sharma. She's saying that I'm working for a renowned company in India. How can I work for US firms based in India? Do you have?
How can you work for what?
US companies based in India. How?
Okay. So you want to work
for US companies based in India, multinational corporation.
Got it. So she wants to work for an MNC in India, right?
A US MNC in India. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah. So again, there are numerous. India is a very strong destination for a lot of international companies, not just US. I mean, for German companies, for English companies, for Japanese, Chinese, South Korean companies. There's a lot. They are hiring a lot of people in India who are legal professionals and legally trained. What I would suggest to you is that you online try to understand, do some research and try to see which companies that you're interested in have hired legal professionals. Maybe some of them have hired legal professionals from maybe the school where you graduated from, or find out information. And again, it's really a question of networking. I personally know several lawyers working for companies like GE, working for companies like IBM, working for companies like Microsoft in India. So literally, if you mention a company, the chance that there is somebody who is working, that company has an extensive office in India and they're hiring some legal professionals, the chances are high. That's what it is.
Yeah, awesome. Pavan Kumar is asking, have you heard of a company called Clarivate and did you work with them any times?
Yes.
Clarivate, have you heard of a company called Clarivate?
Yeah, so Clarivate Analytics is a company that does a lot of data gathering and data analysis on cases and so on. And they have databases that attorneys and other people use all the time. So yeah, I have personally used Clarivate Analytics products, yes.
So Pavan works at Clarivate and he wants to he's a patent analyst and he wants to do legal work around patent. So any suggestions for him?
I think he's off to a very good start, and I think he should continue his work experience, continue getting more knowledge, and consider investing in higher education, so on and so forth. Yeah. Great.
Okay, so thank you everyone. I have been you guys have been here for and it's 9:46 in India. We started at 6 o'clock, and it's almost 4 hours. 15 minutes short of 4 hours. I have been standing also. I think it's time we wrap up, but we can't tell you, like, Jay, we are so thankful that you made time for this. And
Oh,
it
no
was
problem.
amazing. Everybody loved this session. So we definitely hope to have you back another time and talking with more time and
Happy
ask
to
you
do
more
it.
questions.
Yeah, happy
Great,
to. Yeah,
great.
happy to
So
do.
any parting, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, uh,
Any
my,
parting message for all the IP aspirants in India?
my parting message to you is that the world is relying more and more on things where IP is important. Whether it's branding, whether it's more and more and more software, whether it's more and more technology, the world is moving in a way where IP is only likely to become more important. It's not likely to be less important. It's only going to become more important. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why countries like China are further strengthening their IP. So you're in a good field. What you
Yes.
need to do is to think about getting the work experience and getting the education to go further ahead. And don't hesitate to look for opportunities. I have been rejected many, many times for many, many things I've applied for in my life. It's perfectly okay. It's okay to be rejected 99.99% of the time. It's okay. You just need that 0.01 or zero point
Accepted
0.1
1%.
to succeed. It's perfectly okay. So don't give
Yes,
up. Keep
yes.
going.
And keep trying, keep working. Yeah.
Yeah,
100 times,
yeah,
right? So that's the key
yeah.
to success. Thank you so much, Jay. It was there are 45 of you after 4 hours in the workshop. It is remarkable. Congratulate yourself that you have been here. This is the tenacity you need for success, right? So you are
Absolutely.
already in you. You have been here for 4 hours for a workshop, 3 hour workshop. You have been here for 4 hours. So Jay came and we took the opportunity last moment, and you joined us and you stayed back to
Thank you. Thank you.
amazing. So hats off to all of you for doing this, and happy Diwali, of course. Happy Diwali to you also, Jay.
Happy Diwali to
Right.
everyone.
So today was
Please, yeah, please
happy
stay
Diwali,
safe in these
everyone.
COVID times. Yeah,
Everyone, stay
even if you
safe.
go
Take
outside,
care. All the
even if
best,
you go
everyone.
outside for
Okay.
Diwali, please wear your mask.
Yeah, yeah. Take care, everyone. Have a great. Bye, bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.